If you're using WeTransfer links and we get about 200 demos a week, we have to listen to all of them. So if those are expiring in under a week, the music won't get listened to.
And today we've got a special guest. Yay! Right, today we've got a special guest. I'm well excited. I've got Rene LaVice joining me. How exciting. So let's get him in here and then we can start listening to demos. Let's go. Rene LaVice, how are you? Welcome in.
Yo, what's up, everybody?
How are
you? I'm good. I'm buzzing, man. Yeah, thank you for the invite. I'm thrilled to be here. I love finding out about new music, and I love the creative process, and that's what it's all about, man. So let's get creative. Let's see what amazing music everybody's got going. Obviously, somebody's gonna make the next hit record in this session. We got to find it. It's A&R time, baby. Let's go.
How was your weekend?
Yeah, it was really good. It was one of those ones where, balancing and juggling a bunch of stuff, but been doing a lot of studio work recently on my own music, and amongst all the A&Ring for my label and that kind of thing. It's been a good kind of productive set of days. It's been sunny outside, which has been kind of torturous because it's totally up to me whether I just drop everything and go and fuck off to the park and hang out with friends, or go skateboarding or whatever, or go paint graffiti or whatever. But I kind of like the draw to making music and working on music is just too strong. And if anything, the weather outside just kind of put me in a really great headspace for writing music. And it's funny how, like, even when I'm in a really bright headspace, I can still write really dark music because I'm just like in a good headspace to just get. It's really weird how that happens sometimes. But and in terms of, I've been going through tons of demos for my own label. DeVice has been, I just think I'm so proud of like what everybody's accomplished with the label and stuff. There's a lot of new producers coming through on the label, which I absolutely love. Like if you tuned into the Radio 1 show for the past 5 years, when I was doing it every week, like a big thing for me was just not even for any particular reason. I see the value to the scene in it and all this kind of stuff, but it was really just the thrill of finding new artists. There was always a big chunk of people on there that you probably never heard of that I just really enjoyed finding and putting on there, who would message me and email me their stuff, and I would just go through and mixing that in with stuff that people recognize and people will all relate to, that will curate a musical landscape that will connect with people, because music's a communication. It's a language, so it's how we kind of like curate that experience and that kind of thing.
Do you have any do's and don'ts for sending you demos?
Oh yeah, it's look, I think like no one's gonna get their like head chopped off for doing the wrong thing.
Or Chinese.
I was gonna do a bunch of TikTok things about, this is one of my pieces of TikTok content that I thought about putting out. Like I made a list of stuff, and of course I just never did any of it, because like making music is way more fucking interesting than going on TikTok and being like, I do love both. I love giving people information. So the information is, when it comes to do's and don'ts for submitting demos, I've actually kind of resorted to this. If you just email the demos for DeVice at Gmail account, you get a kind of email bounce back thing that just it auto messages you this form. I think it's still turned on, and it just literally tells you submit files in XYZ file type, and use Dropbox, don't use WeTransfer, just basic things. And they're just basic. You might look at it as a new producer and go, oh, wow, that's really stuck up, or this is really time consuming or really annoying, or like, why are they being so demanding? There's honestly just really, really basic answers to all those things that we don't have to go into now, but like, they're just things like when you're operating as a label at scale, or as a, DJ entity at scale, like, there's a volume of music that comes in, and you like have to have a system that allows you to listen to the music. And if you're attaching files to emails directly, and that's crashing someone's inbox because there's too many file attachments and the attachments won't open and your virus scanner's not allowing it and all this stuff, the music won't get listened to. If you're using WeTransfer links and we get about 200 demos a week, we have to listen to all of them. So if those are expiring in under a week, the music won't get listened to. If we can't preview a file before downloading it, sometimes it's as simple as just knowing that it's in fact an audio file and it's in fact a demo. It's not like something else. So a SoundCloud, downloadable SoundCloud link or a Dropbox link, those are all previewable files. Those are like massive do's and don'ts. And then the other thing is, just the content of the email. Like, it helps to have your producer name, have an email address that you're contactable by, include your social media accounts. We want to know who you are. We want to know what you're about. It's all just good stuff to include. That stuff's a little less significant than, just getting us the music. But the first sort of few steps there, that's just integral in like making sure that we can like physically get the music. So it's just really, really basic, and that's all important stuff. But I think, the primary stuff is in that email. I think the most important thing to me is that you just sort of get your work as far along as you possibly can, and have a kind of awareness of where you're at with it, and try and create a product that's really kind of like you're self-sufficient in the fact that you can get it from end to end and be like, right, this is something we could release, and like, how do you want to work together on it? Like, can you guys get this to market in this present form? Basically, like, it's a rare occasion that we're going to go into depth, taking something that's just a shred of an idea and then turning it into a full track or that kind of thing. It can happen if they're like, great ideas are great ideas, but there's just an element of like workload that goes into that can't always be justified. So generally what we look for, and what most labels will look for, is something that's like pretty much all the way there. And then we'll just get it to market and give it, a framework around it that's really going to give it the best edge that it can in getting out there and just reaching people's ears and down the line from there, like pitching it places, just getting it to people as best as we can, basically. Yeah.
Wicked. Well, wicked. That's great. Right. So today, demos. We've got a whole load of them in the Discord, which I'm well excited about. Thank you everyone that submitted their demos. We have had a house music one. Now, come on, guys. Read the Discord. Read the information. If it says A&R feedback for a label, go and listen to the label and see what music they're putting out. We've only got limited time and space with the person that's on the stream with us. So let's just make it bang for the people that are making that music and that are going to be right for that label. And you'll get your chance. There's plenty of other demos. We do demos every Monday, and we have house music labels in all the time. So there's plenty of time for you. But just read, please. It takes 2 seconds. Thank you. Right. Let's jump in and listen to some drum and bass. I'm excited. Ready, right? Right, Rennie, we've got some things. So if you like a track, we've got a
amazing. I love it. Yes.
If you really like a track, we've got a Hulk Smash. We have a Hulk Smash.
Banger. Yeah, I like it.
Right, so you should be able to see the Discord. So this is a house music one. So we're going to scroll past him. How many we got?
Nothing
we normally
against
go
house, by the way. Love house.
No. I just want to make sure we're just doing drum and bass, and if anyone's in the chat wants to summon drum and bass, and please, there's still probably some space. We've got probably enough that we'll get them all done in one stream. So we'll just scroll down. Sometimes we kind of jump around if we've got tons, we do course members first, and then subscribers. But I reckon we've only got 10 or 11, and we'll get through those in the time. So we'll just keep it easy and scroll down. So you can mute me. I'm going to start with Dev Entity. I normally just kind of listen to about 2 or 3 minutes of it, but you can jump around at your end if you need to. That was intense. And that's 13 minutes long. Holy moly.
I'm back. I got a little lost there. That thing had me in a trance.
That was a big monster. That was 30 minutes of track.
That was cool. I didn't know if we were just going to listen through the whole thing or not. And then I sort of glanced down. Someone was saying, maybe wave at Rene. And I was like, oh, yeah, probably take a hint. By the way, hi to everybody watching live. I haven't really properly acknowledged everybody. Really good to see everybody. Fives, man. It's like we're all just in the studio chilling. I love it.
It's cool, isn't it?
All right. What do you want? The good news or the bad news?
Go good first. Always good.
It's a trick question. It's all good. Okay, so this is going to be a hell of a lot more depth than you're going to get from me, like A&Ring DeVice, by the way. It's usually just sort of like, yeah, good. Yeah, no, thanks. Or generally, if I'm going to take a track, then I'll go into depth. But here we go. You're going to get the full whop. So right off the top, I love the track. I think it's really, really cool. It's got a vibe that's like really on that kind of like Alaska, Paradox, Equinox, Gremlins, Jesta type left field, really drum funky, like sort of foundation vibe, which is really, really cool. Low and rumbly, old breaks, jungle breaks, all kind of mixed together in this sort of futuristic and soundscape, filmic kind of way. Really, really, really cool. I guess there's different ways you can A&R a track like this. Some of it's through like listenability, like through like, are you listening at home or listening out and about, or is it like a DJ record? And I think often I like when those worlds kind of intertwine, but I do sway a little bit more towards DJ music. So with that in mind, this probably doesn't fucking matter anymore because we all DJ on CDJs, and whether or not you're using sync, you can see the tempo and you have markers and everything. It's easy as fuck. So the only thing I would say about DJ ability is you could add like a little sort of tastefully done hi-hat or ride cymbal, just carrying, whether it's every beat or every 4 bars or whatever, with a little delay on it, some reverb to sound like it's part of the sound design, whatever. Or like a little vocal sample, like a little thing with delay or whatever that you can just mix off in your headphones. Like those are some little like just little quick ideas for if you wanted to sort of improve the track in that way in terms of DJ ability. The rest of it I think is like highly DJable, so I'm not really worried about that structure wise. About the structure, I would say music like this in this kind of subgenre, it does tend to evolve very slowly. So I wouldn't say that people that listen to this style would be like turned off by this or anything. But I think in this sort of, in terms of like, I do like personally, I like music that does kind of get to the point, so to speak. And hopefully that sounds like a positive thing and not a negative thing. But I think if you wanted it to be a bit more snappy, just speed up the transitions a bit more, cut out a few bars here and there. You could probably cut out a bunch from like, minute 150, 115, minute 1 to minute 3. Could probably cut out a bunch of stuff there. And I say that not because I need it to be shorter. It's not about length. I don't actually give a shit. If you've noticed, like some of my last singles aren't 3 minutes on Spotify. Like I haven't done 3 minutes and they've done really well. Like Fall from the Dark is in the hundreds of thousands of streams and it's nice. Like a 4.5 minute track. So I don't care about that. I don't think that really affects much, to be honest. I think it's more about, am I listening to it expecting something to happen? And I think with the pads going on, I think they're really, really cool. But what I'd like to hear happening in that section is some sort of a tease about what's coming, because there's this big sort of switch that happens right at like, is it 3? Yeah, I think around like 3 minutes or something like that. And then there's another really cool switch around like 4 minutes. So it'd be cool if something was, even if it's not a filtered version of the bass or something, there's something easing in and being like, oh, something's coming. Even if it's just a sound effect or something, something's going to happen, And when that happens at 3 minutes, something that might really enhance that change up that you've done is just muting the pad for that next 16 bars, 32 bars, or whatever it is. And then all of a sudden you've got this big sonic shift towards the bass and the drums, and that'll really highlight that. And then before that switch, as that happens, you've got a nice drum fill there or whatever, but maybe actually mute the drums for like 4 bars or something like that and have some other little, maybe like some sort of a tastefully done vocal effect or something that has a, and build that transition a bit more. Don't start adding risers and all this fucking weird EDM shit, because nothing against EDM, but this is not that type of track. Like, look at some tracks that have a similar kind of thing going on and see what they've done in areas like that, and kind of pull away some elements and then highlight others. Like, a lot of this track really has almost a kind of techno vibe, vibe wise. It's obviously a very drum and bass thing, but techno is all about kind of bringing in elements and bringing them away and creating contrast between a very modal sort of track, right? So those are some things you could do. The groove change is cool. I liked how the drum groove changes and that kind of thing. Think about the advice on the other change ups that I mentioned to sort of enhance that a bit more. The first sort of bass line sounded like it could maybe use a bit more sub bass, and maybe check that it's mono. Just either mono the whole thing or at least mono it from sort of like 300 down. I was kind of craving a bit more punch in that area. So I think one thing that would maybe help is, there's so many ways you could do this. Just to throw a couple out, you could do like, you could layer another kick that's almost like a deeper sort of techno-y kick under the first beat of the bar, where because the bass and the kick come together there. And what you could do is you could side chain the bass to just that one piece of the kick sample, and then you can have more of a punch that sort of lifts off the groove a little bit more and gives it a bit more momentum, because I was sort of craving that. And then the rest of it doesn't need it, just that one sort of downbeat. And then the other thing you could play with is just adding a very, very quick sort of triangular pitch bend to your sub bass or your sample. If it's all one sample, then to the whole sample in your sampler or whatever, just on sort of like almost like a 32nd note or 16th note pitch bend, to just go to give it that sort of almost like a kick like punch to the bass, but not as much as a kick, just a bit. I thought it would help the groove a bit more and help it kind of like give it some more sort of momentum and whatever, without sacrificing the sort of the nice organic drum vibe that you've got going. You know what I mean? Just sort of like have them kind of all interplay a bit more. And I think when you're taking out the pad, like doing that really sort of significant pad mute switch that I mentioned, you kind of need a break from that. If it's just going through the whole track, it's going to get really exhausting on the ears. So I think muting it at like sort of 3 minutes or something would help. And then just, if it feels like something's missing, start bringing in like incidentals, like something that's sort of sweeping around, or some filtered thing that sort of feels, could be out of key, could be in key, could be a ravey stab or whatever, but it's sort of taking up that space, but only incidentally, not like just washing over the whole thing. And that might give it a bit more pace and a bit more groove as well. Again, at 430, the bass just sounds a bit too stereo for some reason. I really like things that are super stereo, but for some reason, sometimes bass does need to be sort of follow that rule and be quite like central in the mix. So I think try just going from like 300 hertz down and just monoing it from that far down. That doesn't work. You could go more extreme and take it farther. Hopefully you're not going to get any phase cancellation issues or anything like that. But if you do, just layer a sub, just do whatever. It's just basic shit, really. Yeah, I mean, I think after that, I would say that's like my main sort of comments. I think the only other thing is like I did want to mention is around like 6 minutes or no, it's before there. It was the section before 6 minutes. It's like the drums start getting kind of swallowed up by everything else on the track, more so than in other areas, I think. And I would just say like maybe try really, really cleverly layering a little sort of slightly more dense sounding layer to your snare or whatever. It doesn't have to sound like a snare, but it could be an element that gives the snare the pieces it's missing, whether it's like a sort of filtered piece of white noise or it's an FM synthesis bit or something that lets them sort of pop out the snare and the kick and those elements that are getting swallowed, as well as your tops. Or if that's not working, bring everything else down, bring them up. Or if the volume changes aren't working, maybe then play with like a very, very subtle type of extremely quick side chaining or something to the bits that are disappearing. But I would be careful about doing that on this track because you could run the risk of just having it turn into a big pumpy mess. So I would try doing some really basic volume changes first and then seeing how that goes. How does it sound once you press it into a limiter, that kind of thing. Seeing how that goes and then trying the other things. So yeah, off the top, that's my initial thoughts.
Wicked. That was wicked. Well, there you go, guys. There you go, Divinity. There's lots to work on. Holy moly, that's great. Mark Track says, Mark Track says proper feedback. Mark, that's why we have these streams, to help you out. So I hope you enjoy this.
Well, yeah, the underlining thing is it's good.
Yeah. Right, let's go next one.
It's good music.
Mugshot God Squad. Right, if this is... How long is this? Let's just see before we... Right, this is... So I'm going to play about 3 minutes of this, just as a heads up.
Give me a 15-minute track, guys. Come on, you can do better. Give me a 20-minute track. The context.
I'm going to... Ready? I'm going to play about 3 minutes of this, and then we'll come out of it, just to kind of give them a feel.
All right.
Right, let's go. There we go. Kind of get that. That's good. I love all those people listening in from work. I guess you don't have to put the wire up your sleeve now and sit there like that listening at work. For those that are old enough, they used to have to do it at school.
I was wondering about that. I was like, shit, this is like, it just dawned on me. I was like, oh yeah, Monday. Most people are like, I mean, I work every day, but like I work wherever, you know what I mean? Most people are like in an office or something. So if you're in an office right now, respect to you. Love that.
Mark Tracker said he's hiding in the cupboard at work. Good work, Mark.
Yes.
Don't get too sweaty.
See Siren in there. We see Graham Farmer in there. That's you.
That's
Just
me.
look at who's in there. That's sweet.
Okay, Intense cool. Complex, welcome in. Bring the beat, Mac. Hey, Dudio. Imperial DMB, welcome in.
Let's go. Let's go.
Loads.
Call your friends. Invite them in. It's a party.
What do we think of that one?
Let me check my notes. Oh, all I wrote was, this is shit, next, ... I'm just kidding, I'm kidding. JK! I'm kidding! Please, but I'm kidding. I thought that was great. And that's the only reason why I feel like I have license to make that joke. I thought that was great. I would say it just depends on how nitpicky you want me to be. But I think it was great. I think a lot of these things come down to a matter of taste at this point. Mm. So in terms of DJ ability, highly DJable, in a bunch of different areas of the scene. That's like obvious to me. I would just maybe as a technical matter, just go ahead and double check that there isn't too much stereo in your sort of sub area, like at least 80 hertz down. But it could be the AirPods deceiving me. But just double check that. Fuck off, Siri. Fucking asshole. I won't respond to that. That's so funny. Stupid fucking robot. So what I basically was thinking was, in terms of what would enhance your track that's maybe not as taste oriented. I haven't even got to the taste oriented stuff yet, but would be, that sort of like pattern, which is great. It gives a lot of identity to your tune. It's like kind of like a calling card for your track. When you're mixing this record in and you hear that coming in the intro, let's say, people are going to, oh, that's that track coming. And then they're going to hear the vocal sample, which I think fits really well. I think that's the fit of the vocal sample to the track is really, really nice on this one. Suits the groove, suits the vibe.
It's a good little hook, isn't it?
On the drop. It's fucking awesome. It's a good little hook. I would say that maybe wait a little longer before repeating it on the drop, only because it's kind of got a bit of a ruminating kind of sound. The drop that you have is kind of like a dark, intense kind of running beat. What I would vouch for is actually finding some different stabs that are maybe a bit more kind of punctuated or like intense. And then leave that for like the latter half of the drop or even for the breakdown. Just push that back a little bit. That's like kind of nitpicking, but I think it's a little bit more in terms of like just what might enhance your groove. The other thing is like with your drop, It's fucking great. I would say if you want it to kind of like hold interest even more, maybe play with you know, pacing the groove as it develops. Like with first 16, great. Second 16, maybe start playing with more different hi-hat things or little percussive things that add a slightly different pace. You're not changing the whole thing, but you're just adding a slightly different pace to things. And beyond that, sort of more the same. Yeah, like, you know, you could even play with some sort of strange mutilated vocal pad incidental thing or an ARP or something that's going on there. Just adding, it's progressing, you know, and then kind of wipe all that shit out and go back to what you've got there in the breakdown, which is great. This is where it gets into like taste type shit, but just to throw some influence type stuff at you. And all of this is like, you know, well before my time, but I hung out with a lot of like older dudes that were around during the sort of golden era of drum and bass, because drum and bass was really big when I was living in Toronto. I'm living in London, England now, but anyway, backstory. They showed me a lot of like early 90s stuff, or sorry, late 90s stuff, early 2000s stuff that was like, I'm trying to think of examples. There's so many of these records, but like the style was really like robotic and, you know, pots and pans smashing together. And you'd have these bass lines that were dead simple. Like it would just start off with like one note. 16 bars later, you'd have like one note and then another note. And then like 16 bars later, you have like one note, another note, and then some other sound going, rah, 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 and it would all become this sort of evolving groove. And then before you know it, some more drum elements come in, and then you have this whole big chugging techno-y drum and bass groove chugging along. And you'd kind of go back, and then they'd strip it all right back down. And you'd be like, fuck, like I just went on a journey there. So maybe with a track like this that has a little bit of space, it's intense, but it has space, you could play with that idea of like starting off with this type of section of the bass pattern, but then in the next 16 you could add in a little punchy thing, or on it, you know, somewhere where you've left space you could add in another bit and kind of evolve it like that. So it's not even stuff that necessarily has to be something where on the dance floor you're going, whoa, what the fuck was that? Just little things that when you're dancing along, like it just keeps you kind of going, it keeps you elevating without really realizing it. So those are little things I would suggest if you want to, you know, go further with it. But I don't think any of that's 100% necessary by any means. It just might help keep it exciting, keep it listenable, might keep people wanting to DJ your record, you know, more. I think the switch up on the second drop is like really, really interesting. I think not enough people do stuff like that. Shouts to Dillinger. But I think it's potentially like slightly too different. I would maybe suggest like doing it, but then incorporate a little bit more of the old bass line from the first drop, just a little bit more, maybe on the tail end of that big sweep or something. But that's, again, it's kind of taste stuff. Like there's no rules, man. If you want to just throw a billion different sounds in and get really crazy with it and just evolve into a totally different area, like go for it. I'm just throwing stuff out at this point. So that's just taste stuff. That's my basic sort of feedback.
Wicked.
Yeah, man.
That's good. Right. Next one. Albies N1.
Where's that one?
Next one down. Just keep going. We'll go down and down.
Albies, gotcha. I got you. You're going now. There's no getting out of it.
Let's go for this.
You scared? You scared? Hell yeah, baby.
That was cool.
Yeah, I think that's great.
You want an air horn for that? You an air horn. Big and Beatmaster sounding nice. Rob Hayes says top right, riding high. Pattern Perception says feeling this.
Yeah, I rate it as well. I think it's sick. I'm gonna be honest, man. I wouldn't change anything about that track.
Hey!
On first listen, yeah, I think it's great. Yeah, I mean, I'd sign something like that. I think it's great. I love the little detail in the low end with it's got a really tasteful way of like having those little techie sweeps on the bass, but then also working in little sub like sort of funky little dips in the low end that don't have some sort of like, you know, wacky mid-range attached to them or whatever. Like people can get really carried away with that shit because it's, let's face it, it's fun. You know, you're working with a synth and you create a whamp and you're like, whoa, let's do another one. So it's nice that it's done really tastefully and it gives it a nice kind of like energetic groove without getting carried away. And that's wicked. And I love the detail there. The thing that I like about this one is it really brings that kind of logistic, like heyday of hospital, like logistics, you know, what was it called, like the Cambridge EP or something, comics, logistics, new tone, that kind of really, like, not gonna want to offend anyone, but like sort of golden era of hospital records where it was like that really rolling sampley, like, for lack of a better way to put it, that sort of like those kind of glimmering, like whatever they are, funk, orchestral, whatever samples coming through. And it's just got a nice, really like rolling, energetic beat. Really love that style, man. I think he's put a little like a twist on it in a way. You know, it's almost like that meets sort of break or something, but not as aggressive, obviously. I think it's great. I really like it. I would definitely, I'd play that. I'd get down to that in a club. I'd get down to that on a beach. I'd listen to it again right now. I think it's great. Love that.
Wicked. Let's give it a smash then. Give it a smash.
Smash it. Let's go.
That was great. Congratulations, Albie. Wicked. So if you want to, if they want to send that to you, then they can, I guess. And we'll, let's. Yeah,
go for it. I'll give you the demo thing right now. It's just demosfordevice@gmail.com. It couldn't be any easier, frankly.
And they should.
I don't know where to write that.
Oh, we can. Loz will put it in the chat. Loz will put it in the. Loz will put. Yeah, put it in Discord. Just put it in the bottom of the Discord.
It's just literally just the words demos for. Oh, right. I'll just write it here. demosfordevice@gmail.com. Dead simple, man. Also, you can find that link. Like, it's just all over like my link trees and shit. If you scroll down enough, you'll find the like demos submission link mixed in with a bunch of. And you can, it's the great thing about clicking that link is that it literally gives you a form in sort of website or mobile form. And you can, it just gives you all the categories you need. So it'll say, drop this type of link here, write your name here, whatever. That way it's just simple. We can contact you. Nothing goes missing, you know, whatever. We've got the files. So it's a really good way of doing it as well, just for reference.
Loz has put the form in the chat. There you go.
I haven't quite given way to like the track stack thing yet, but it's looking tempting.
It's a good system, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean it's it'll speed things up, that's for sure. It'll speed things up. But you know what? Generally people are so good with how they submit on email, especially like, I have a lot of good luck with it, so I'm not too concerned. But yeah, definitely streamlined, man. It's good. It's a good way of doing it.
Albies is in the chat. Yes, Albies. Well done. Yeah, so send that through. Should he mark that you've listened to it on the stream, or should he just say...
Yeah, go for it. Be like, just put, dude, if the more you put like something identifying in the subject line of the email and stuff, like it's... Because honestly, dude, I hear so much stuff every week that it can get really difficult to remember. Please give DJs like a little bit of slack if they do something like forget your name or whatever, because we're just like completely overwhelmed with how many people we meet and how many things we listen to on a weekly basis. It's not for not caring or being a dick. Sometimes we just literally lose track. So yeah, anything like that you can add, that would really help. Thank you.
Cool.
Because I don't want to lose the music. It's great.
Next up, Entropy. Let's do this, Entropy.
Okay, cool. Albie. So we just listened to Albie. So now we've got, Entropy. Cool. All right, here we go.
There we go. You want an air horn?
Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Yeah, sick. What do you guys think?
It was getting a lot of emojis. Love the heat. Love the switch up.
Bad boy.
What did you think?
I think it's great. So yeah, the vibe's really cool. I love the groove. One thing I would say is like make it to be honest, just make it a bit longer. Like with this track at around like 124, so it's going into this really nice transition that goes into the breakdown. But I was really craving some other iteration of the 16 that comes in at about 1 minute ish. I just wanted more. So if you could add another 16 in there or something, I think that would be amazing. Because if I was on a dance floor, I'd be like, it'd feel too short. Definitely. I think the drum switch up on the second drop is great. Somehow the sort of bass grooves and stuff that you've written work really great with both grooves. And I think that's really fun. And it adds a new sort of element and definitely adds listenability to the track. I think it's great how a lot of you guys are doing that. You're switching up things on the second drop and stuff. I don't think every track needs that. Some are good when they just sort of repeat, but it's something that not a lot of people do. And I think it does add a lot of like, you want to listen to it again and again because of that. It's nice. I love that progression. I think I love the little art stabs and stuff that come in there, the little incidentals. Like they're great. Definitely helps with your whole sort of sci-fi kind of theme. One technical thing I want to say is that while all the production's really good, I think there may be an issue happening, especially on the first drop, where there's the mid-range of your bass has this sort of top-end crunch or hiss, which is sort of interplaying with your hi-hat groove. And this can happen a lot. And sometimes it happens with the sibilants on people's vocals. But it almost sounds like the drums are falling out of time or something. So you might have to do something to mitigate that. The one caveat to that is that it may be a SoundCloud compression aliasing issue that's going on, which is then also going through my fucking AirPods and then
through a live stream.
Yeah, through a live stream. So it may not be something that's worth rectifying. However, genuinely, that's how a lot of people are listening to this shit now. So it might actually, it's up to you if you want to consider it, to have another look at it. You may not hear it that way, but that's one sort of technical thing I wanted to bring to light. The other thing about the track is like the structure is great. It's really nice listening wise. I think the ending that you put on it is really nice. Not a lot of people do proper endings anymore. They just kind of go, that's the end. But it's a funny double-edged sword because on the one hand, I want to big it up saying like, wow, really nice ending. I love how the pads come in and it sweeps into a nice ending. But the irony of that is that sometimes that can work against you when it comes to DJ ability, because I said there were these two ways of listening. There's like just sort of sitting and listening and whatever and doing whatever. And then there's DJable sort of listening. And if a DJ is blending into that, sometimes it can really disrupt the transition that they're doing into the next record, because you've got these kind of ruminating, chill, sort of interesting pads coming out. But meanwhile, you're trying to bring in another track that has a bunch of sounds. So if you were to do a DJ edit of this, my suggestion would actually be either to bring that stuff earlier and then add another 16 where this happens, or just take it out and instead change that 16 measure, section to being like stripping everything back down and down and down and down and down. And you could still have pads and stuff, but keep them subdued and keep them kind of almost rolled off on the tops and stuff, so that the next track you're bringing in with those types of, maybe it's got a vocal coming in, maybe it's got some pads or whatever, it's not going to clash too intensely on the transition when you mix out of it. Because frankly, this track's a really short track. Like if you're mixing that second drop, you're going to mix out of it pretty much by the time you drop the next track. You're not going to have them running together. So you want that transition to feel right. And what you might find with a track like this is people end up mixing it a lot and mixing through the second breakdown and then just switching it on the drop instead, so they don't run into all those issues with the pads. It might be like almost a subconscious thing that they start doing to avoid that. But again, it's like whether or not you want to give a fuck. You could just sort of like leave it as is and it'll be great and people just work with it. It might also work to your advantage. Like maybe those pads just work perfectly going into another track that you happen to like mixing after it. And it's a perfect transition. So again, it's just something to like think about sometimes when you're making these records. And yeah, definitely don't do it the same way on every track. It's just something I wanted to highlight in terms of like stuff that can come into play with structure. But yeah, man, that's my initial reaction to it.
He said in the chat, if I make it longer, should he send it to you afterwards?
Yeah, go for it.
Yay!
Definitely.
Well done, Entropy. That was banging. Right, Joe Faz.
Yeah, it's sounding cool, man. I love the old school vibes. It was almost getting kind of like a mall grab kind of like flavor practically from the tempo. That's cool. It was really old school ravey vibes, jungly, like the pianos. I think basically to finish this track, I would just delete 1 minute to 140, copy the vocal sample over, or like just keep it tacked onto that transition, and then just run it from there and run it like that. And then the other things I would do is just add a few more edits along the drop and a few more incidentals or like kind of edits to make it feel a little less loopy. But beyond that, I think it's good. I think I would probably, yeah, and I keep the second drop the way it is. I think that's sounding really nice. I like the way it drops and stuff. It's cool.
Sounding cool. Next one, the only 4D. There we go. You want some air horn?
Oh, come on. Ba. Yeah, sweet, man. I think the vibe and the theme is really cool. If you've never heard of an artist called Naibu, definitely check them out. They did some shit like on Creative Source a while back, amongst other labels. That this really gives me really echoes that vibe. So it might be a cool thing to draw influence from. Yeah, I would say just in terms of, I think all my feedback here is just personal preference. I would say like maybe just cut out the ahs and oohs on the drop, because I just think they get a bit tiresome, especially because they're so like laden all through the intro. So like maybe find a different synth or a different way of doing it, or just a different type of voice for the drop bits. Because if you don't want to lose that big ethereal thing, like, you know, I am a big fan of contrast, so I would suggest sort of like shrinking everything down for the drop and just focusing on the drums and the bass for a bit, then getting back into that stuff. But if you want to keep it going, that's totally fine. I would just find some different ways of doing it, because I just start sort of tuning it out a little bit, because it just keeps repeating so much. with that tone. But if you did it with like a different tone, like some different instrumentation or some different voices that sound a bit different with just more reverb or whatever to still retain that vibe, I think it would maintain my like interest a bit more. But yeah, drums are sounding really nice. Really cool bass tones. Like the way the second breakdown happens and stuff. Great track, man. It's really cool.
Really cool. Wicked. Right, the next one, Imperial DMB. I hasn't got a player, so I'm going to have to copy it out.
Baby, give me good love. Maybe I could get lost in you. Baby, give me good love. Maybe I could get lost in you. Can't get enough of you. Baby, give me good love. Boy, you give me good love. Maybe I could get lost in you. Can't get enough of you. Baby, give me good love. Boy, you give me good love.
Maybe I could get lost in you. Can't get enough of you. Baby, give me good love. Boy, you give me good love. Maybe I could get lost in you. Can't get enough of you. Baby, give me good love. Boy, you give me good love.
Sweet.
I like that.
Sounding nice, man. Yeah, nice little roller. Yeah, I think it's cool, man. I think it's a nice vibe, nice little bop. I would just say, yeah, it's like pretty heavily reliant on that vocal sample. I think you don't have to change anything, to be honest, but I think like it might retain a bit more like replayability if you just did a bit more with that. Either brought it in and out more and sort of manipulated it, just keep it a bit more fresh, because it's just kind of repeating throughout the whole thing. So maybe pull it out a bit more often, find different ways of like manipulating it or something. Really good artists for like, you know, maybe drawing some ideas and doing it your own way for that is like Don Wall or Mohican Sun. They have a really fun way of adding in vocal bits but also manipulating them and stuff, which can just keep the track sounding more unique, but also just keep that listenability going where you want to seek it out again, you want to listen to it again. But having listened to it once, I feel like I got it and I liked it, but now give me some reasons to like play it again. Do you know what I mean?
Gotcha.
But yeah, well-made track. I think it's good.
Where is that? Is that vocal original, or is it a sample attack, or is it a
Splice.
like a sort of splice? Okay, cool. Right, next up, a good quality though today. Really good. Well done, gang. Overall, it's been great so far. I'm doing Evolve.
Yeah,
Evolve, the
really
black
good.
Face.
Really good.
Yeah, really good quality. I'm glad you're enjoying
Evolve.
it. Okay,
Yeah,
I've heard this one. This is a bit of a monster.
You can't tear me down.
Surround sound that woke your neighbours up, no doubt.
So, would you say surround sound?
Surround sound in our chat. He's here every week. He's in the West. He's in America, so we wake his neighbours up with the drum and bass.
Yeah, standard.
Because it's early in the morning there for him.
Tell him to either get involved or fuck off. Yeah, I think. Yeah, vibes, man, vibes. I think that one was great. I think really great use of the vocal sample, like, you know, using it as like a kind of like a weapon. You know, you're sort of like slotting it into the chamber right before something's about to happen, and then bam, and it hits really nice. It's great. The drum work's great. I love how you haven't kind of like over processed things on the drum side of things. Like, there might be fucking shit tons of processing going on with those drums, but I don't sit here thinking about it. I'm just listening to it. It just sounds good. So it's nice. Yeah, like everything fits really nice. in terms of the sound design, the sort of like selection of elements and that kind of thing. But fucking make it longer. Like make it longer, man. It's literally like what is it? Like a 48 seconds on the drop or something like that. Make it longer. I like what I'm hearing. Make it longer. And just look at, even just from the waveform on SoundCloud. Sorry, this is fucking brutal, but I'm just saying it. Like, take it as a compliment, but your ratio of like middle breakdown to drop is like way off. And there better be something fucking amazing happening in that middle breakdown. Otherwise I'm going to be like, dude, like I'm just going to take your file, start copying, pasting it and making it longer before I DJ it because, I like what I'm hearing on the drop. Give me more of it, make it longer. And then maybe just readdress that ratio of like middle breakdown to sort of first drop. And then once you've made the first drop longer, maybe you won't need to change anything, or perhaps just like cut a bit out of it. If you don't think it needs that space, then take it away. But I think, there is something to consider here with this being, you're going for a more high impact drop. So sometimes it does help to like create that space before it happens. But I will say that like I think you've definitely sold yourself a bit short on the first drop. Give us a bit more there. And then the rest of it, I think it's great, man. I think you've written a great track here. It's good.
I was looking at the length of it, and I was waiting for you to say make it longer because it's literally the same length as the entropy one. And I was like, I wonder if it's going to say make it longer.
And it's not necessarily.
And then there it came.
I know that, I guess it's becoming a running theme, but it primarily in respect to the drops. Like that first drop's just really short. And you're just I can see it now, you're just going to have DJs just mixing out of it. You want them to play more of your track. You don't want them playing 32 bars of it and then going whoop into something else because the track stops. Keep the track going, they'll play more of it. So if you need to do something like create a clever little sort of 8-bar buildup or something again to keep it going, to keep, so it doesn't feel like it's just going on and on or whatever, do whatever you got to do. But I would put more in there. If anything, if you're trying to really like squeeze it down to a 3-minute edit or something, I would take more off the end of it maybe. But I wouldn't take it off there because that's still got a lot of energy going. And it's not so high energy where it's like, I don't know, just some like peak EDM 2012 type thing where it just blows your head off and then needs to stop for a second, or like dubstep or whatever. It's like it does kind of roll along. So I think if it was that, I'd say, okay, maybe a bit shorter. But I think lengthen it out a bit. Lengthen it out.
It's a very cool track. Shook my shed, that's for sure.
That really shakes my shed, that does.
It's a shed shaker. Right, Mark Track, are you still here? Are you still in your cupboard at work? Mark Track, have you been found? Have you been found out? Let's do this one, Mark Track.
Mark Track, let's go.
I don't like anymore.
There we go.
Cool, man. Got
cool.
it. First off, I think the artwork that you have here on SoundCloud is just fundamentally next level. I don't understand why there's a spaceman that has it's not a cowboy hat. It's actually like a sort of like bandolero type thing going on.
Yeah.
And a massive handgun that's just far, far too big for his body.
Yeah.
I don't know what he's up to, but I support it.
Looks like he's got the first versions of the Apple Vision as well.
Yeah, he's just immersed in the metaverse, and we don't even know what he's up to. Which begs the question, why the gun? But I think possibly he's so distracted by his metaverse that he hasn't realized that the mid range on his bass is like really, really way too loud. Like that whack, 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 whack. Turn that stuff down a bit. I love the like deep jungle bassy thing under it. That's like such a nice tone, and it's really well kind of modulated and stuff. That's like really nice sounding. I think halfway through the drop, some other elements need to either come in or some edits need to happen or something. Again, it's like up to personal taste, but I think that would add a bit of interest there. And the thing that I would focus on beyond all that, probably even more importantly, is the transition to the drop. Feels a bit like it doesn't quite just sort of flip over into the drop really nicely. It kind of just sort of like rolls over, and it kind of feels like with this track, it would benefit having a bit more of a contrast shift. So sort of pull back the elastic band a bit and then let it go. Bam. And I think some of that might be down to filtering things a bit more. Let me just listen to it again. Yeah, I mean, you've got like a little reverse cymbal there and stuff, but also that's kind of taking away from your drop a bit because the cymbal just feeds into another cymbal. So you've kind of got, you're taking away from, if anything, I would get rid of the cymbal thing and add something that sort of dips down or like gets more sort of kick roll focused or something, because then you sort of pop up into the sort of wider spectrum of sound on the drop. Things like that. I do like how you're sort of easing that wamp thing in, but yeah, just focus on that area a little bit more. Maybe do a bit more filtering, sort of work on that sort of that switch over to just make it kind of hit a bit more. Maybe you just mute a bunch of shit for like a half a bar, like right before the drop, and then suddenly it hits more. Just throwing things out. But yeah, man, sounding fun, sounding cool. I like the jungle bass.
That's cool. There you go, Mark. Stuff to work on.
I'm gonna hit play on music.
I'm gonna play as well. There we go.
All right, so yeah, I'm gonna just leave like production stuff like aside, but I think the main the main one is just switch the order of your drop. So basically take the part at like 1 minute some odd and move that to around 40 seconds or whatever. Or is it? Yeah, around 45-ish or something like that. And then take that bit that's at 45, which kind of comes back in at around like 30 or something. And then put that like after that section, because I think that's kind of more your main event. And I think you'll have like a lot more kind of impact with the tune. Yeah, it's like that section is like, this is what's happening. And then the next section, once you switch the order, it'll be like, now you're thinking about what just happened. And then like it's happening again. You know, that's how I would like articulate it in my brain. But yeah, so I think it would be mostly like a structural thing to look at with that one.
That's
I think
cool.
both sections are good, but I think if I heard it that way around, it would connect better with me.
That makes sense. That's cool. I like that analogy as well.
Cool.
Okay.
Girl?
Guy versions. Let's do this. Girl.
Here we go. Boom.
Let me love you, girl. Girl,
You want an air horn? You want the air horn?
I want air horn.
That was sick.
You know what my feedback is for this one? I think like basically just keep it completely as is. I wouldn't change anything. And if anybody doesn't get it, they can just fuck off, basically. Because it's great.
It was really lovely.
And I think there's so many people that would come and be like, oh no, you've got to do this, and it's got to have a big lead sound. It's got to have a fucking distorted 808 on the drop and blah. They're all wrong. I wouldn't change anything about this track. I think it's great. Big kind of, classic sort of LTJ Bookham vibes, but brought up to date. Like it's, it feels very present. It's like a Sattel tune or something like that. That's very kind of like classy and like, it just sounds really nice. If Michael Beebe played drum and bass, you could see him dropping this. Do you know what I mean? Like it's just cool. It's like classy. It's cool. And it's either for you or it's not. Don't worry about it. You know what I mean? I don't think this is a track that's meant to please everybody, but I think it's a track that does its job very, very well. So I think it's a great track.
I think it pleased a lot of the chat. Did it please you in the chat?
Hell
one's
yeah.
in the chat. One's in the chat if it pleased you. I thought I was absolutely loving it. I didn't want to stop it, but I'm conscious of time.
What's nice about it? It's a difficult thing to do because it's musical without getting wanky, for lack of a better term. You could have easily had that solo, that trumpet come in and start going and just going all up and down the scale and showing off and whatever, but at expense of the track. The great thing about this track is you've managed to hold the attention on the entire composition and the scene of the track and the beats and stuff. If you were to do that, it might be impressive, it might be cool, but then you'd just be thinking about that saxophone player of like having a mad one, like, and your mind's going way over there, and you do hear that from time to time. But so it's nice that you've managed to get some musicality in there, get some instrumentation in there without just going nuts with it. So it's really tastefully done. It's really good. Yeah.
It's
cool, man. Cool track.
And Moisten's got the same whiteboard as you, apparently. Right, bring the beat back. I said it right. Let's do this. Jungle time. There we go.
Yeah, man. Fire.
That was fun.
Getting a real like Basement Jaxx vibe from that one, man. That's kind of cool. It's got a really fun, lighthearted atmosphere to it, and I think that's great. I think that really translates to the sort of current state of things, like with especially outdoor raves and stuff. Just like it'll just get everybody like pepped up and ready to party, which is awesome. I think definitely keep those vibes going. Yeah, I think something was going on with the drop that I couldn't quite put a finger on. I think there's something. Perhaps my main criticism is that I'm not sure that the bass sounds that you've used right on the main sort of drop area are translating the way that you might want them to. I think that there's sort of not enough of a discernible tone to them that's kind of carrying a groove, and they're all sort of collapsing on top of each other. And I'm not sure if that's because there's sort of an over compression thing happening, or if just in the synthesis there's not enough kind of, whether it's the right sort of oscillators or the sort of filtering's right or whatever. I think it will work. I just think it might need a bit more attention or a slightly different approach with those sounds specifically. The thing I will say, though, is I think the overall structure of the track is really great. I think that you've got your own way of doing it, and this one sets itself apart from some of the others in that way. I think like because you've got this fun, lighthearted vibe, and you've managed to sort of work that into the structure because the structure keeps changing around. So the two attitudes kind of complement each other. It kind of keeps moving, keeps like that high energy going. And I think the 16 following that on the drop's really nice. I like the instrumentation. I like where you took it, and then it feeds into the sort of breakdown really nicely. I think the main area to look at would be the bass sounds on that drop. I think right now they're letting you down from an otherwise very sort of like promising track. So I would spend a bit more time on those and possibly just sort of like maybe even mute everything and have another go at it with some different sounds and just see what happens. Maybe you'll go back to these. I don't know.
It's cool. It was fun though. I enjoyed it. I was willing to it. Well done, Mac.
Vibes.
Okay, Zavi. How many got left? 1, 2. Let's do this, Zavi. Wow.
Have it. Yeah,
Wow.
wicked. So yeah, just really matter of factly love the intense intro. I think the vocals really matched well to the other elements. The bass the sort of bass house sounding bass elements in the intro are really exciting. I think the drop transition is really promising. Kind of funny. I don't know how to phrase this. So sometimes my feedback's really logical. Sometimes it's like really illogical. I can't fully explain that. If it was a different record, almost exactly the same, I would probably say the opposite. But this is this record, and I'm just going to say it. Take the second drop and just make that your first drop. I don't know why. I like it better that way. It just sounds really cool. It sounds really exciting. It's a 4 to the floor thing, but I haven't really heard someone do the 4 to the floor thing just like this. They've done it a little bit differently. Maybe you were inspired by a track that is structured this way. I don't know. But I think it works really nicely. The only other thing I would say is, and this is less so on the second drop on the first drop for whatever reason, but on the first drop, when it comes in the way it is now, your mid-range bass just like clobbers everything. You've got to find a way to balance that, whether it's turning it down and then turning everything else up relatively, or some sort of the relative sort of volume. I understand that you want it like fucking larger than life and really big and distorted and everything. That makes sense. But for some reason, it's kind of getting in the way of the other stuff. So find a way of still getting your drums to hit you in the face and the bass to hit you in the face, but having your mid-range up front. Find a way to do that. It's not quite coming through. But on the second drop, for some reason, because of the way you've done it, the sound design it works a bit better for me that way. But that's not why I gave that suggestion. That's like a caveat to that stylistic thing that I was thinking. I like the way the bass line interplays with the 4/4 and stuff. That's my main feedback on that. But yeah, banger, man. It's definitely like a proven sort of structure, like for tracks like this sort of bass house meets jump up type tune. You've definitely got that sort of proven structure down of, you have the build up and the drop, and then you've got that sort of way of leading into the breakdown and stuff. And it's you got the makings for like a really solid club record there, man. Definitely.
Really cool. Really cool. He loves the 4/4 stuff, so he's definitely keen to push it forward.
Mate,
Wicked.
Bring it to the front. I didn't even know that. That's awesome. Bring it to the front, man.
Okay. Pattern perception. Are we got time for any more? Yeah, we've got 5 to. Okay. Should we do one more?
Yeah, we'll do another one. Come on, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
was loving that.
Yeah, man. Air horn.
Air horn? Oh.
Please.
Oh.
May I calmly ask you for an air horn? That's a wicked track, man. That's a wicked track. I think it's just really well made. It's really tasteful. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what there's things I want to say about it, but I don't want anyone to think that, you know, like it's stuff that they're not aware of. Like just because it's stylistic comments. Like I think with a track like this, oh, by the way, just double check that your sort of bass from like at least 80 hertz down is mono, because that bass is really wide. It's nice. Just be careful that you don't lose sub. I mean, it's a great liquid track. I think at like liquid raves and stuff, this would really do well. You know, kind of getting a bit of a Spearhead Focus Recordings kind of that like area, Integral even. Definitely really nice. I think like, to be honest, it's SoundCloud's not doing me any favors right now because I'm trying to sort of get a sense of how the mixdown is and stuff. But I think the mixdown is actually, yeah, really nice.
He says this is his first drum and
Often
bass
with
track.
Liquid, it can be a real toss up because Liquid's all about vibe. It's not about like smashing someone's face in with every kick and every snare. So sometimes you just literally need to like test it in a set and being like, okay, does this translate? And then you go and you sort of tweak it and whatever. Whereas often with more sort of main room clubby stuff, I can be like, no, you've got to shift the snare or whatever. It's almost like easier because it's almost on a more sort of technical level to sort of analyze that shit. Or maybe because it's just more extreme. But I think this one's really well done. I love the structure. I love the instrumentation. I think the vocals are done really tastefully. Like you were very on the edge of like, you could have easily like exhausted that vocal and used it too much, but I think you did it in a tasteful way. And it's added some nice color and some nice flavor to it. Yeah, really cool, man. Love it. Great track. Sweet.
Yeah, I loved it. It was really nice. He said it's his first drum and bass track.
That's awesome. What do you normally make? Lo and behold, it's the secret alias of Timbaland.
All sorts. Okay, cool.
Sweet. Well, keep making whatever you make because
that was cool. Yeah, it was cool.
Fun stuff, man. Well, this has been a blast, dude. I've really had a blast here. I hope you guys have gotten some insight and some value out of that. Hopefully I haven't pissed any of you off too much. It's not really my job to not be a snob. So, you know, there's that element. But I've been buzzing through this. This has been really fun. I love finding out about new music, and that's the best part about this. So all you guys are just doing me a massive favor here, sharing your music, and it's just so much fun, man. I hope this keeps going. Such a great platform here with data transmission, man. So
yeah,
good.
It's fun. We do it every Monday.
Graham, let's go. Let's have a round of applause for Graham Farmer, everybody. Come on.
Thanks,
come on.
Dude.
Get some claps in the chat. Get some claps in the chat.
What have you got coming up?
Oh God. Hold on. Let me pull my fucking satchel of shit here. And well, we've got Bass Canyon coming up next month. I'm going to be going. Oh wait, no. Before that, I've got Las Vegas. I'm doing a back-to-back with DJ Craze,
nice,
which is going to be really fucking awesome. I'm going to try and show him up on my beat juggling skills. We'll see how that goes down. But yeah, that's going to be sick. Before that, I'm actually, I've got like a bunch of American stuff coming up. I'm going to be doing like 4 or 5 trips to America this year. And then there's going to be Australia, New Zealand a little bit later. Between that, actually, there's all these in-between things that I keep forgetting about. So I've got Let It Roll Festival. Everybody knows Let It Roll. That's going to be in, I think, August. So that's going to be kind of coming back here and going between those 2 other continents. I think Shelley's in addition to that, there's tons of music coming out. So there's going to be a new release from myself probably every like sort of 4 to 6 weeks. Nice. I've got a lot of stuff that I've been meaning to get out, and a lot of new stuff too. So I want to start just getting that out to the people. That's going to be rolling out. There's going to be lots of DeVice stuff. That's going to be a big focus as well. The DeVice takeover events are starting to become a thing almost kind of accidentally. The phone just kind of keeps ringing and they start, I wanted to start doing events at some point, but I wanted to sort of like tiptoe in, with like small cap venues and stuff. And then lo and behold, like, thanks to Rampage a year and a half ago, they call up my phone and go like, hey, we want you to curate a stage. And it's like, okay, I guess we're doing events now, like first event, 17,000 people, like fucking, all right. So yeah, so now there's events happening in the States. We're doing a takeover in Puerto Rico next. There's going to be Seattle, Chicago, I think as well. I'm going to have to double check on those because I probably might maybe have the cities wrong. But there's like about 2 or 3 coming this year alone. And then there may be some others that yet to be announced that are being worked on. So that's fun. There may or may not be another sort of Radio 1 show happening. Maybe not. Maybe I just sort of dip my toe in every now and then. But I'm really focused on the DJing and the producing right now and that kind of thing. So yeah, please keep your eye out for my new music. Keep an eye on DeVice's socials and stuff. That's really the best way to find out about our new music. It does often get playlisted on like Spotify and stuff like that, but those things aren't reliable. So give us a follow, hit the bell icon or whatever the fuck you got to do to like get our content. We try to keep it pretty to the point. You're not going to get like a load of like bullshit. It's just kind of like, hey, here's a release, check it out. The link's in the bio. You can just get the music and kind of get to the point. Yeah, we haven't turned into a meme channel yet, so don't worry. That's like, that's a lot of major stuff. There's definitely things I should plug that, fuck it. I'll plug like one other. There's a whole bunch of stuff that I'll just keep you here all day. But basically, one thing to really look out for really soon is it might be on the 27th. Like there's going to be my remix of Minefields by Prodigy.
Wow, I love that track.
That will be, that'll be great.
Oh, that's a great record to remix.
Yeah, those opportunities have been really fantastic because Fat of the Land was really an album that really, really, really blew me away and had a massive influence when I was just a child, literally. That sort of impacted on me and stuck with me for a long time. So now to get to this point where, Liam's just calling me up and going like, hey, do you want to remix Breathe? Do you want to remix like Minefields, whatever? And I'm just literally going like, is this a dream? But yeah, definitely. So yeah, that's awesome. And I'm really happy with the track. The track's been going down incredibly well at raves and stuff. It's funny, actually, I worked on it sort of with Liam, that one.
Wow.
And it was just sort of like, his sort of concept for it was like, just sort of structurally what we kind of, because I was generally like, yeah, man, like it's a pretty tough one to do justice, you know what I mean? And you kind of go like, yeah, like shit, like this is a big moment. Like, what if I get it wrong? What if you can, all of these sort of intrusive thoughts start coming in, and I have a pretty sort of inventive imagination, so I can definitely take something and go way off, like to somewhere else with it. And generally people seem happy about it, but there's, when it's that close and personal to you, it's like he kind of, so I actually voiced that to Liam and he was like, don't think of it that way, it's just another version. And that's the greatest thing about his brain, is that he doesn't look at things that way of like, oh, this is this untouchable work of art. It's the statue of David. It's the Mona Lisa. Don't dare touch it. Don't what? He's the kind of guy who would like musically like take the Mona Lisa, draw like something on her face and flip it upside down and attach it to something else and make a new piece of art out of it and not have a problem with it. And that piece of art would be incredible. And like, but it's a bad analogy because you never like, obviously with music, the original's still there. You haven't defaced a nice piece of art. It's still there. But, I think that was amazing. That's what's great about working with Liam and working with the Prodigy, is that they have that attitude and they're just very like of the moment. They're very like, they're living the life. Like Liam's very much like in the studio every day, like banging out tunes. And, it made it a lot more fun because I was just like, right, well, fuck it. Let's just get into this idea then and just make it like an absolute stinker. And then, if another remix comes along, like it's just a different version. You know what I mean? It's like that, it takes that pressure off of like, oh, I've got to achieve this, or it's got to be this kind of like be all and end all of remixes. It's just got to be a really sick tune. That's it. And that's all he was trying to do at the time anyways, just make something really fucking dope that he was into. And that made it a lot more fun. And frankly, like, I think the remixes end up better that way because of that attitude. You do end up making something that's going to stand the test of time and be incredible for years and years because you haven't overthought it and made it something that's, you know, going to tick boxes on some corporate level or something, or appease the Spotify gods or whatever, like, God bless them. But, you know, like, and ultimately, like, yeah, like I said, music is language. It's a form of, like, you know, communication, be it intellectually, emotionally, or whatever. And in the case of dance music, physically, it's been great to just get into the ideas and kick them out. So yeah, following that, there's going to be plenty of singles, and I'm going to be writing more music and touring and just doing all this crazy Rene LaVice stuff that we get up to, you know what I'm saying? And hopefully
That's very cool.
Hanging out.
Very, very cool.
Hanging out with you guys again soon, hopefully. So we'll see.
Wicked. Thank you very much for doing this. That's very cool. I love that Mindfuls track. It's one of my favorites on the album, so I'm excited to hear that.
Dude, such a tune, man. Such a tune. Yeah.
Because on that album, there's so many big tracks, but I absolutely love that record.
Yeah, man. It's not one that a lot of people know by name either, and I don't know why that is. I guess it's because it wasn't Firestarter.
That one and Fuel My Fire off that album are absolutely my favorites. Like, yeah, those two.
Yeah, Fuel My Fire. I remember, like, yeah, I could. Sorry, I'm gonna just fucking go on and waffle. I actually have to go. I have to go to the consulate and deal with some visa stuff, which kind of fucking sucks. And I'm getting text messages, if you can hear that, about it right now. But so I am gonna have to peel out, sadly. But I've had so much fun. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for doing this. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here.
Strong community here, and it's wicked. So
I'll see you very soon.
Respect. All right.
Cheers, mate. Bye-bye. If you found this interview interesting, consider giving it a like and a comment. It helps with the YouTube algorithm, and let me know your biggest takeaway below. Don't forget to follow me on Twitch. I'm back on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and you can check out the schedule from the link below as well to see who's coming up in my interview series. I'll see you in the next Twitch stream or the next YouTube video. I'll see you soon. Bye.